Meanwhile, Mayor Mamdani selected his new correction commissioner over the weekend. Stanley Richards will become the first formerly incarcerated person to lead that department. Richards sat down exclusively with our Courtney Gross in his first interview, discussing his past and the future of Rikers Island. Here's part of that conversation.
For the last 35 years, I have been working to be part of the solution about when people pay their price, pay their debt to society, when they come home, giving people an opportunity to rebuild their lives. And for those who are detained and incarcerated, use that opportunity to think about and get access to resources so they don't have to come back.
How would your relationship be with the union?
My relationship with the union is going to be in partnership. I think what the union is doing is protecting its members, making sure that its members feel valued, and that aligns with me. That aligns with my vision and my mission. So I want to be in partnership with the unions to make sure that the officers, number one, are safe and protected. Number two, that they don't feel isolated and thrown away, that they are valued. And I'm going to come to the table just like that.
Have you spoken to the head of the union, Benny Basio, yet?
I have not spoken to him. I plan to do that as one of the first things I want to do. I received the email from the captains union, and I'm open to conversations, and I think they are as well. I think what they want is fairness, and they want to be heard. I will have an open door, and as opposed to developing strategies, implementing strategies, and then telling the union about it, I want them at the table. I want them helping us shape the strategies.
Do you think that the union contract, as part of this remediation manager and this federal receivership that is going to happen on Rikers Island and in the Department of Correction, there is a mechanism for the remediation manager to reopen the contract and say things need to change here? Do you think that the contract needs to be reopened?
I think that's a conversation between law, the remediation manager, and the judge. I think for me, my role is to work with the remediation manager to address the 18 contempt orders, to see that, to then build a foundation that we could be in compliance with the Nunez decree. And I need the union, I need the membership, I need community members to make that happen. And I'm looking forward to working with Nick Demmel to make that happen.
What can you do to finally fix Rikers Island?
That's the seed planting work, is looking at all of those policies and updating them, making sure that we're doing training that is appropriate for the people that we have detained today. That is making sure that we have posts covered, making sure that we're modernizing our systems. I think the department right now relies too much on paper, and we need to get the department into the 21st century. So my job is to make sure that we begin to address those entrenched practices so that we can move into the 21st century, build the borough-based jails, have our officers safe, have incarcerated people safe, and give people that are in our custody an opportunity to build a different life.
We are on this unprecedented track of a remediation manager coming in. Nick Demmel, you mentioned him previously.
Yeah.
There is some confusion because in past receiverships across the country, this has only been done less than a dozen times or so. Typically, a remediation manager or a receiver comes in and has control over the entire facility.
Right.
Nonetheless, a commissioner is staying within this structure, and you're going to have a job. But I think to a lot of stakeholders, it's confusing as to who is the real boss here. Where does the buck stop?
I think the phrase is, are you going to be in partnership? And the answer is yes. The remediation manager has the authority afforded by Judge Swain, and she's given him the authority to deal with some of the things that were entrenched in the department that prevented the department from being in compliance. I will work in partnership with the remediation manager to do those things, because when we do those things, that is about making sure that our jails are safe.
But what happens when you disagree? Does Nick Demmel's word, is that the final word?
I think what you'll see is Nick and I working hand in hand. If we have differences of strategy, we will work those differences out. The North Star for Nick and the North Star for me is safe jails.
Our Courtney Gross joins me now with more analysis. And Courtney, it doesn't sound like you got a clear answer to that question of who's going to make the final call if there's a tough decision or one where they have a sort of a split opinion about what to do.
Yeah, and there is a structure in place as part of this years-long lawsuit. The judge has said that they will eventually go to the court if there is some sort of disagreement. I mean, we know there are already conversations between these two. In fact, they are supposed to be sitting down today here in New York City to discuss, I'm assuming, some of this.
Well, a lot has been made of the fact that Stanley Richards was incarcerated himself as a young man. But he actually did a tour of duty as the #2 guy in the Department of Correction not that long ago.
Yeah, and it was a very difficult time for the Department of Correction. This was for about a couple of months during 2020-21. The very end of the de Blasio administration, he served as a top deputy under then Commissioner Vincent Schiraldi, and that time period had a lot of difficulty between the City Hall, the de Blasio administration, Vincent Schiraldi, and the union in particular. And I know that you're going to be having the head of the union on the show in just a little bit. It'll be interesting to see how they could potentially repair that relationship, because they were absolutely at odds just a few years ago.
One thing the new commissioner said that I think is something we've certainly been reporting on, which is the high degree of violence of detainees versus staff, of staff on detainees. I mean, that's really what led the judge to step in and say, this has got to stop.
Absolutely, and we haven't really seen real solutions for that yet, but I'm assuming we're going to be hearing about all of this in the coming weeks.
Okay, thanks very much, Courtney.